Calder Cup playoffs are heating up with 3 out of 4 matchups going into Game 5. Welcome to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast.
Welcome back to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. We are a podcast brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network, and we are sponsored by DraftKings. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Connor.
And I'm the other host, Kyle. We are a show brought to you by the fans for the fans. We are not officially sponsored by the Detroit Red Wings or Grand Rapids Griffins. We just like to bring you this show as season ticket members, diehard fans, people that spend a lot of times really looking into the Griffins and what they are going into, especially during this offseason.
The Calder playoffs are absolutely on fire. We got the Hershey Bears getting swept by the Charlotte Checkers, and then we have the other 3 games going into Game 5 out of best-of-5 series. So absolute crazy action in the AHL right now.
Yeah, before we get too deep into the AHL playoffs, we're going to go over some news going around the NHL. There's Dylan Larkin coming a dad. That's really good news to hear after some really unfortunate things that happened for him. So congratulations, with Kane and DeBrincat having their kids coming around there, and I'm sure he's been really looking forward to this day. So
also, Jeff Blashill, former Grand Rapids Griffins head coach, the coach that brought us to the 2013 championship, and former Detroit Red Wings coach, is now the head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, going right to our rival and taking up his first time head coaching job after his departure from Detroit being the head coach. His first time being a head coach. He was previously playing under John Cooper for the Tampa Bay Lightning, which is, he definitely good guy to be under.
So. Yeah, definitely probably learned a lot over there under him and with Tampa Bay. So see what he can bring to Chicago, as they are definitely in rebuild situation, and he's going to have to restart there. So some fresh grounds for Blashill, but now that you are in Chicago, best of luck to you. I hope we smoke you every time we play you. So the Muskegon Lumberjacks are the champions of the Calder Cup finals of the USHL, the United States Hockey League, the top American junior league. So congratulations to the Lumberjacks bringing the cup to Michigan.
A lot of these championships coming down to Michigan. We had Western Michigan. They won the NCAA. We have last year we had Saginaw Spirit win the OHL, and then we had the Lumberjacks this year winning the USHL. So that's really cool to see a bunch of championships being brought to Michigan.
Yeah, and close enough to Michigan, we got Toledo. We got to talk about them and what they're accomplishing in the conference finals right now.
Very close to championship territory. They are up 3-1 versus the Kansas City Mavericks in the conference finals. So that's really cool to see. They play tonight. Hopefully we can take that and move on.
In the first round, they swept the Indy Fuel. In the second round, they were 4-2 versus the Fort Wayne Comets. There was a double overtime game in there, but I think the Walleye are looking very solid. So we want to go ahead and cover the players that make an impact to the Griffins. Carter Geilander and Jan Bednar leading the way. Some solid goaltending from both of them, both getting 7 games. Geilander getting 6 wins, has a goals against average of 2.59, a save percentage of 0.902, only 1 loss in there. Jan Bednar has 7 games played, 5 wins, the same goals against average of 2.59 and a 0.907 save percentage.
We're not going to get too into the Walleye because we don't watch that much Walleye, so we're not going to just sit here and try to act like we know about them. We are interested in doing that. If anyone really wants to talk Walleye, send us a message. We're definitely open to it. We just don't really know much about the Walleye, so we're not going to talk a bunch about them.
Yeah, we just basically talk about the guys that have an impact on what the Griffins are trying to do. Players with Griffins contracts, like Carson Banel, who Was really successful against the Indy field, but it seems like he's been kind of slowed down here in the ECHL since. Trenton Bliss, he was a former Griffin. He is leading the team right now, even above Brandon Hawkins, who always leads the Toledo Walleye.
Tyler Spiezzo, man, he's been crazy down here.
Yeah, and then we got defenseman. It's good to see Nick Andrews come out of the penalty box the other day and get himself a breakaway goal, which he buried.
Yeah, he's from Michigan State.
Yeah, he's a player that the Grand Rapids Griffins signed for next year, and good to see him get a head start starting down here for Toledo and get his first goal.
Yeah, beautiful breakaway play by him.
So now we can actually go into the playoff bracket here.
So the Calder Cup playoffs have gotten insane. We got starting in the Central Division, we have Milwaukee and Texas. Milwaukee last night playing for their lives. In a game 4, they come back in overtime and win it. And going into game 5 there. Milwaukee versus Texas for the Central Division Finals. Move down to the Pacific Division. You have the Colorado Eagles and the Abbotsford Canucks also going into a game 5.
Yeah, that matchup getting very heavy. Colorado hanging on, winning just last night to push game 5. So he drives right over to the North Division. It's the same story. The Lavelle Rocket versus the Rochester Americans. They're going toe-to-toe. They are trading punches in all games. So it's like one team has the edge in one game, and it switches right over to the next team in the next game. So this playoffs have been fun to watch, to say the least. But then in the Atlantic Division, we have an entirely different story where the Charlotte Checkers have swept the Hershey Bears, eliminating the chance of three-peat for the Hershey Bears, as the Charlotte Checkers are looking like a force to be reckoned with, the first team to move on to the conference finals.
Yeah, they're my favorite left. I want them to win the cup.
Very interesting to see.
Yeah, Charlotte they did win a Calder Cup championship a couple of years back. They had Nedeljkovic was the goalie on that team. Alex Nedeljkovic.
Back when they were with Carolina, huh?
Yep, they used to be Carolina Hurricanes affiliate. And we've already talked about that whole Chicago Hurricanes thing on this podcast before. Carolina's a really hard NHL team to get along with. Chicago ended up going independent for a couple seasons there, and it didn't work out for them. They're now back with Carolina, and you can definitely see why you need an NHL affiliate. Well, to be affiliated with an NHL team because they supply such talent.
Yeah, just sometimes it's just we are blessed with the connection we have with Grand Rapids and Detroit, and we shall not forget about it. So by the next time you hear from us, we'll be down to the Final Four, and we'll be updating you on that relatively soon. So we'll follow this Calder Cup playoffs until it gets down to the very final end, and we have a champion. So that being said, if you want to go on DraftKings and make your bet now's your chance. So we'll get into our DraftKings ad.
The fastest game on ice just hit another gear. Welcome to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where legends are made and every shift could turn the tide. And now, with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can take every slap shot, breakaway, and overtime thriller to the next level. New to betting on the Stanley Cup playoffs? You're in for an exciting time. Getting started is a breeze. Fire up that DraftKings Sportsbook app, pick your team to win, lock in your wager, and you're off to the races. It's fast, simple, and puts you in the middle of the action. Maybe you think the Florida Panthers have a solid chance to win the Stanley Cup, or maybe you're thinking the Edmonton Oilers will give them a run for their money. Just know that lines and odds are subject to change. Here's the kicker. New customers who bet just $5 will score $300 in bonus bets if their wager hits. That's right, turn $5 into a playoff payout. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. That's promo code THPN to unlock $300 in bonus bets when your $5 bet wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario, Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Copyright 2025 NHL.
We'll get back into will they return?
Yeah, so we'll get into the will they return here. There's some players that we didn't cover the first time around, so we'd like to cover these 5 players on whether or not they will return. So consider this just a part 2 from last week.
Yeah, so starting with Josiah Didier, I say we absolutely have him return. He's out there playing golf with Shine. I mean, they're golf buddies now. He's coming here as a captain. He's really showed these young kids a lot. I mean, I think he's made quite a presence in the locker room. It's definitely a good idea to have him return.
It's noticeable. I've noticed Didier has absolutely stepped up to the captaincy that was given to him. I know me and Connor were giving him a little bit of slack at the first season when it wasn't Shine, but I think we see it now. I think Shine fills the role better as the assistant captain, and Didier fills the role as the sit back as the lead defensive veteran and just does his job very well. As far as I'm concerned, we still don't have anyone else that clears the front of the net as well as Didier does. So got to sign him again to maintain that.
Yeah, I say sign him for sure.
He's our captain.
Hunter Johannes.
This one's a little trickier. Hunter Johannes, we saw him come in at the end of the previous season, not this season, but the previous season, and he looked great as a physical presence, hits hard, and I like the energy, but this season we haven't seen a whole lot of the results from that energy, the physical play. Some of the fights he's lost
I think he lost every fight this
year. He laid some really good hits. I mean, he's been fun to watch in that aspect, but yeah, I think it's worth signing him again to keep that physical presence around because we don't have another guy that does it like he does.
Yeah,
Austin Watson's going to be a Red Wing.
I did notice too that in the middle of the season, when a lot like around the trade deadline, when all the dudes went up, Shine was up there, Watson was up there. I felt like he really stepped up. He was like one of the dudes that did look like he could take on a leadership role. So I'd like to see him back. I mean, you could take him or leave him and you'd survive. He's not like a key guy or anything, but I like him and I think we should at least sign him for another year.
Yeah, I like his character too. I think he brings good energy into the locker room, and yeah, I'd like to bring him back. We'll just keep it at that. I think Hunter Johannes and physical energy is worth keeping around.
And then Gabriel Seeger, I say the same thing with him almost. There's that dead time. I feel like him and Johannes stepped up around the same time. One night Seeger would do it, one night Johannes would do it. So I'm on the same boat with that almost. I'd say bring Seeger back too, but it's not like he's a crucial piece. I could very well see him going somewhere else. I could see him wanting to get a different shot, but he contributed enough. I would not be disappointed if Seeger was returning.
No, I'm for Seeger returning. I think he's a good in front of the net physical presence. Maybe not as physical with the hitting as like Hunter Johannes or Didier or Watson, but I think Seeger brings a nice two-way presence and is solid in front of the net, almost like a taller Holmstrom to compare, I guess. So I think Seeger's been great for this team and just add some of that depth down the middle that we're going to need with players like him and Becker and eventually maybe like Carson Bantle in the future.
Well, then we got Nikolai Neishoff. So we barely played him. We got him for future considerations from Pittsburgh. And I thought he was a good defenseman, but we didn't really see him in the playoffs. He was just there for a little bit. So I don't think he would really want to come back here, honestly. I feel like he'll want to go somewhere else. He could have been just like a loan from Pittsburgh. He might go right back to Pittsburgh. You never know. He might stick around. But I think it would be less likely than the other guys.
I agree, especially with some of the defensemen coming in. He is an older guy that would stabilize. If we were to not sign a player like Rafferty and maybe like Lagesson, then I'd say maybe keep him around. But if you're going to sign any of those other guys, I don't really think it's worth it, especially if we didn't even play him in the playoffs. And I understand we had to bench someone for ASP to give him the games, but I don't know. I would like to see him out there. I thought he started to finally find some chemistry with the locker room, and then they benched him. So I agree with you. I think he might just think it's better to go play somewhere else. So last player here, Jan Bednar, having a great playoff run here with the Toledo Walleye. What do you think his actions are next? Do you think he might be looking around, seeing if he can get a deal with the jam-packed goalie room that we have with Kosa? And Augustine will be with MSU for another year, but who knows what happens with Rudy Geidman and some of these other goalies. Geilander is going to be directly in competition. So I personally think he's a good goalie to have around. He's been solid, but does he want to stay?
Yeah, he's been really solid for Toledo. I mean, he's killing it. And he's come up. He played for Kosa in a game Kosa got pulled. I mean, I would like him back. But, if he does, depends on what he wants.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with him too. Is just if he's willing to take, if he doesn't feel quite ready to take a leadership role, or he doesn't think he's there, and he wants to stick around and maybe lead Toledo or be a backup in Grand Rapids, I think he can find himself there. But if Koso's not moving up to the Red Wings, and we have Campbell, just some of these things just might not work out for Bednar if he wants to get some experience.
Yeah, and then you got Augustine coming in.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that should go through our part 2 of Will They Return? If you guys have any thoughts on some of these players, let us know. Comment. If you really find one of these guys, you think we need to keep some of them, let us know. So we're interested to hear your thoughts too.
Absolutely.
So that should bring us into the penalty box.
Welcome to the penalty box. This is where we like to end the episode on a fun note. We like to put the biggest idiot of the week into the box for a 2-minute minor, 4-minute double minor, 5-minute major, or a game misconduct. Kyle, who are you throwing in the penalty box?
So I am going to have to throw Meyer in the penalty box because their beer is always on sale. Every time I've ever gone in to get beer, it's on sale. At least maybe not the craft brewery stuff, which, was reasonable, but any domestic beer, it's always like they say it's 40% off. But if it's always on sale, is it always on sale? Seems like I can go to the local beer store and get it for the sale price, and that's not on sale.
Yeah, I was going to say I can walk right down to the gas station and it's actually cheaper than the sale at Myers.
Crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's a legitimate thing you noticed here.
Well, and maybe I just buy beer too much if I noticed it, right? Maybe they just don't expect people to notice something like that. Just a 2-minute minor for Meyer here. Nothing too serious.
So, when I'm throwing into the penalty box, I'm throwing in the NCAA. Sherrod Moore, head coach of Michigan Wolverines football, has been suspended for 2 games over the Connor Stallions. The Connor Stallions sign-stealing saga.
Yeah, it continues.
I mean, I'm pretty sure, this was 2 years ago now. Harbaugh already was suspended during the season when that happened. Now, they attack us all last year for it, and now this year we get the Bryce Underwood, the number 1 quarterback recruit, and also now we get 2-game suspension.
Yeah, they just were like, yeah, things are looking too good over there in Michigan. We better try to slow them down a little bit.
Well, doesn't impress me. I'm going to throw them in for a double minor because, we've already gone over this.
That's where other teams have, admitted to doing the same thing that Connor Stallions has got in trouble for, too. And I don't understand why their coaches aren't suspended.
Yeah, and you got people giving players Ferraris and all sorts of stuff before this was even legal. Ohio State's been doing it for years, but no one seems to bat an eye at that. It's Michigan. When you do things the right way, people hate you and try to make you look so horrible. And that's just how the world is sometimes. But yeah, so I'm actually gonna give him a game misconduct because it's been too many times. I say dissolve the NCAA completely, create a new college football organization.
People are asking for it, that's for sure.
Yeah, have fun in the box.
But that being said, we'll move on from the penalty box here. We'll get this closed up for you guys. The Grand Rapids Griffins season being over, we'll have some time to do some restructuring, some organizing of the show, try to get back to you. We're still going to try to be getting some interviews from people around, pipeline prospects, and we'll let you know how it goes. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Go Griffins.
Go Griffins.
Thank you for listening to the Griffins Pipeline Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, give us a 5-star review. We are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We are not partnered with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Detroit Red Wings, or Toledo Walleye. We are not experts. We are just die-hard fans looking to make a community with others alike. Let's go Griffins Nation. Join the fun, like, and follow us on Facebook and X, or call into the show and have your opinion heard 1-616-319-1175. Thank you. Grand Rapids Griffins, Toledo Walleye, and Detroit Red Wings. Players, coaches, websites, and social media. Thank you AHL.com, NHL.com, ETL.com, EliteProspects.com, and anyone else putting out information on the teams. Until next time, go Griffins. Go Red Wings, go Walleye.